Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Thursday, May 4, 2023. Today's not such a happy video. This is our 1937 Lyman Runabout, a very special boat that was built for the Adirondack Boys Camp on Lake George in 1937. We worked for a couple of years doing a major restoration. She sat in the water at Lake George all last season and everything seemed fine. The bilge pump did run once in a while, but unfortunately, she went from the water immediately into what I will call hot storage, a space that was solid concrete and heated to 65 degrees all winter. Well, her owner called me last week, having pulled her out of storage, preparing to launch her for the season, and took a look at the bottom and began noticing that there were all kinds of issues of the paint just pulling away from the strakes below the water line and actually the strakes splitting. So what I wanted to do was just hand it over to Joe so he can sort of walk you through this. The point of this video is both to inform and also to tell us to be really, really careful about just pulling a boat out of the water in the fall and put it into heated storage, especially if it has a concrete floor. What happens is there's so little humidity in that environment that it just sucks moisture super fast out of the wood. Well, Joe can walk us through kind of what happens.
When a boat gets super shrunk to lack of humidity, if you look at this strake, it is cracked all the way through and it's a solid 20 inches long. And as you can see, it's all coming apart. It's just flaking off. That's due to the fact of when you're taking every ounce of moisture out, it's shrinking that boat and that wood so much that it causes air pockets to get behind it where it just pops off. So it's very, very important. If you're in a heated structure with concrete floor, it's really important to at least have a humidifier running to be able to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because when it does happen, where we put in the Fixo Flex, here's a good example. This is all tight, so when it's super shrunk, that's an 1/8 inch away from where it was. So that means that this wood has shrunk that much to pull the Fixo completely out of that groove and that seam.
Now, some of you are going to say, now wait a minute, guys. We've seen your videos. We see your concrete floor. We know you're not working in sub-zero weather all winter. So how do you do it? Well, I'll tell you how we do it. We own, are we up to 8, 9?
9 or 10 now, I think 10.
Yeah. Full house humidifiers. And those run 24/7 all winter. We check humidity several times every day and keep the humidity in this shop at a minimum of 35%, but our goal is 40 to 45%. So we don't experience this. The boats come in, particularly in the fall, when they come in having been used all season and they're really wet, we want to treat them very, very gently. But what else do we need to talk about here?
So, and actually, there's a couple things. Obviously you see that giant crack, but don't forget, in this boat, the engine sits roughly right about where I am. And there's cracks on almost every strake. This one's probably about the worst, about 3 feet long, and it's where the nails were. Every single nail, it's just broken all the way down across there. And same thing on the other side. And I mean, you can just look, I mean, that's just coming right off where that should not have had any issue with that due to shrinking. I mean, that's a lot of shrink.
Now, clearly this has got to come off before we start. We can't just slap something on here and give it back to her owner and say, go ahead, Brian, have a wonderful summer, because Brian will not have a wonderful summer with this very special boat. We have to remove every bit of this that we can back to as close to bare wood as we can. And then in these places, we can't just gouge this out and put a little Fixo Flex in there and say, well, it'll be flexible. This is broken. This is broken all the way through and it deflects. So every place where we have these kinds of issues, we'll be replacing strakes. But we've got to, chemical strippers not going to pull that stuff off, because a lot of it is fairing compound that has lost its adhesion as the wood moved over the winter. So we'll keep you up to date on our 1937 20-foot Lyman, the Eagle. And hope next winter you'll remember this video and think about where you're going to store that incredible artifact of history who's so dear to you over the winter. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.